Is the Bahamas safe? The rate of crime continues to leave an indelible mark on our nation, costing us not just in lives disrupted, but also draining our economy at an alarming rate. Behind every statistic lies a story of a family shattered, a business struggling, and a community in fear. Today, we embark on a journey into the heart of this issue, seeking understanding, solutions, and the collective strength that lies within our community and faith leaders to guide us through these turbulent times. This is Crime in the Bahamas, a holistic exploration. Keep watching. A brand new episode of You and Your Money starts now.
You and Your Money is brought to you by FOCAL, RBC, and Central Bank of the Bahamas.
Welcome to You and Your Money, everyone. Joining us today to talk about tackling contemporary crime challenges is the Assistant Commissioner of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, Dr. Chaswell, Hanna. Dr. Hanna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ria, for having me here.
Dr. Hanna, in recent times, we've been seeing quite a bit of crime reports. In your view, what is the current state of crime, the prevalent criminal activities, as well as the emerging challenges that you're seeing?
Well, the current state of crime is one that puts it on top priority for the Royal Bahamas Police Force, the current administration, and all the community leaders and right-minded persons. What we see happening is a number of factors driving the root causes of crime, which includes guns, gangs, and drugs. And in the Royal Bahamas Police Force, under the leadership of our Commissioner, Mr. Fernander, he has embarked on a comprehensive crime-fighting plan that addresses these root causes. Guns are connected to gangs, gangs are connected to drugs. And not only are we dealing with this in an enforcement approach, but also on a crime prevention approach. In his policing plan, it's heavy on prevention. We are clear when we understand that to get ahead of this crime problem, we have to deal with it on the front end, all right, which is creating diversion programs for young persons to not getting involved in these types of behavior at the outset. And I think that is the key to addressing the crime situation on the front end, crime prevention and diversion programs. And that is what is a top priority for us in the Royal Bahamas Police Force.
Now let's talk about this modern era with new ways of committing crime and its impact on the law enforcement efforts. If you can, what are some of those innovative approaches and technologies employed by the police force in crime prevention?
We have quite a bit of technology. We have the shot spotter technology, which alerts us when gunshots are heard in different areas of communities. We're able to get our resources there in a timelier fashion where we could identify victims and suspects and recover evidence. And in cases where persons have been shot, we could get medical assistance to them in a timelier manner. We also have CCTV, I'm sure everybody is aware. We have, they are located in strategic locations. We're strengthening that program to include license plate readers and facial recognition, which will help us identify suspects coming to and leaving from crime scenes. We also have our body cameras that assist our frontline police officers with professionalism, and we make sure that whatever incidents happen, we get a true account, an accurate account from both parties. And we also have technology we're introducing now that can merge all of these technologies together in one platform. So there's any number of technology that we use, and we understand that the technology is only as good as the officer who is using it. So we're heavy on training, making sure that all of these technologies work together to prevent crime.
Well, it's good to see that you're putting together the technology with the educational component for your officers. Now, how effective are these new strategies in addressing the evolving criminal tactics?
Well, it has assisted us in our crime planning because all of these technology, for example, talk about shot spotter, we are able to see where most of these gunshots occur. And we move our resources to that area to reduce the number of gunshots. So it has been effective. It is a very useful tool. It aids us in our crime planning, as I said. The body cams are very useful to us in our training because we can use those videos to assist us with customer service, using it as training aids in the classroom to say, what should you do, what should you not do in these circumstances, and it assists us with our professionalism. And we also have automatic vehicle locators in our police vehicles, so when an incident occurs, we could see what vehicles are nearby and we could send them there, so it improves on response time. So these technologies are being very effective to us in the crime fight.
Now, what are some of those current initiatives aimed at engaging communities in crime prevention as well as school policing?
Well, one of the hallmarks of the crime prevention fight now is the urban renewal, which is being strengthened. Okay. All of the centers are being strengthened with new staffing, new mandates, and really we understand that, these suspects, they come from our communities. Mm-hmm. This is a small island, 7 by 21. Everybody knows everybody, so to speak. And we need to get into the community. We have to build trust, rebuild trust with the community. At one point, the relationship between the police and the community was relatively weak. And we want to rebuild that trust so that members of the community can continue to give us information on wanted persons, suspects, drugs, etc. So with this urban renewal strengthening, we are going to rekindle that relationship with the community, and we have liaison officers in the centers. We're going to be connecting with persons in the community, and they're not only there just for information, but also to deal with quality of life issues. We have a theory in criminology called broken windows, where the condition of a community can impact the level of crime in a community. So where you have these derelict vehicles and these drug houses, we want to move them, we want to clear that space and replace it with positive space for our children and our community members where drugs and crime cannot flourish. So it's a comprehensive initiative. It is one that has been effective, and we look forward to strengthening that. The other one, school policing, where we have school resource officers who are specially trained, certified police officers in every junior and senior high school, public high school in New Providence and all of the Family Islands. They are internationally certified by the National Association of School Resource Officers, and they are not there to militarize schools. They are there to build relationships with the students. They are there to identify at-risk youth and engage them in positive activities, assist them in dealing with conflict resolution, and create diversion programs from getting them into a life of crime. This program has been very, very successful. The numbers bear that out. Schools are becoming safer. They work closely with the administration, the teachers, the staff, the faculty, and they also have become father and mother figures to these students. Some of these students don't know who their father is, and these SROs, as we call them, have become father figures. And they're there to really support these students, because we understand if we could reach these students on the early stages, we won't have these issues on the back end. We've also expanded this SRO program to the primary schools this particular semester, where we have a team going around to each primary school to identify these at-risk youth and to start even at an earlier stage. That is the only solution on the front end, the best solution, we believe, to reduce this crime problem. Those on the back end who are at the stage where they're in and out of the criminal system, we know what we have to contend with them, but we want to stop the hemorrhaging, we want to stop the flow, and we believe if we can deal with the front gate of the criminal justice system, we'll be able to impact crime.
Now, you talked about the school policing and how successful it has been, but I want to know, how receptive are the kids to the police being on the campuses? Very receptive.
Okay, that's good. Last year, the C.H. Reeves school, they won the National Sporting Championship. Okay. And when they won, they circled the school resource officer, Officer Brown, and they were cheering him on because he was encouraging them to do well. They're very, very supportive. They love the police. They look at police officers very differently, all right? And so we believe it's a positive relationship. You're going to have one or two students who need some more attention, but it's all about love, partnerships, and togetherness, and trying to get the best for these students. We also have a program called the Second Chance program, where we have students who have committed an offense that they could be charged for, but rather than giving them a criminal record, we give them a second chance. We let them come to the station, we let them engage with activities around the station, we teach them drill, deportment, how to be responsible, etc. And once they behave themselves, we'd make a decision not to charge them with that criminal offense, thereby giving them a second chance. In not all cases, a child needs to be charged. And in fact, some cases when you charge a student with a criminal offense, you may be doing more harm than good. We know the criminal justice could be very harmful in some respects with some children. So we want to make sure they get the right treatment, as I call it, and that's not always a criminal charge. And this is done with consent of the victim's family, parents, and the suspect's family, and has been working very well. And these children are appreciative for a second chance, because we all have made mistakes, and everybody deserves a second chance.
Now, what role do community partnerships play in gathering intelligence, fostering trust, and creating safer neighborhoods? Very important.
The police are the community, and the community are the police. The only difference between police officers and community members, we are in uniform, and we can carry firearms, we're specially trained. But the responsibility to keep our nation safe is the same. We police by consent. We are outnumbered by the members of the public, and we are only here to serve you. And that relationship is very important. We need the information from you. As I said, this island is very small, 7 by 21. Everybody knows everybody. So we want members of the public to trust us, retrust us, and give us the information. Everybody has a relative or a friend on the police force. So if you don't feel comfortable talking to a particular officer, maybe find a relative, a police officer or a friend who's a police officer, who you want to share this information with. We know these guns and these bullets, they don't have any names on it. And so we want members of the public to give us that information and prevent these incidents from occurring.
All right, well, Dr. Hanna, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We have to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to look at navigating law enforcement challenges. This is You and Your Money. We'll be right back.
The Bahamas is increasingly vulnerable to disaster-related effects of climate change, and connectivity is a vital component of response and recovery efforts. Reliable communication is also a bridge to first responders, support systems, and families. Consequently, when we make investments in infrastructure, we make an investment in community resilience. Begin your year on a high note. Join me at Bahamas Business Outlook on January 25th, when I will present on Crafting Tomorrow's Bahamas, Connectivity as a Catalyst for Growth and Development. Register today at tclevents.com.
𝗖𝗛𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗧 Holdings Limited is proud of its consistent growth and the financial success it continues to bring to many Bahamians who invest in the company. 𝗖𝗛𝗡𝗡 is committed to ensuring optimal financial performance for its shareholders. 𝗖𝗛𝗡𝗡's leadership remains focused on superior customer service and operational excellence across all sectors. 𝗖𝗛𝗡𝗡, fueling growth for people.
At RBC, we know the roles you have to play can change quickly. Whether it's a homeowner, a new parent, today's head chef, salesperson of the month, or the family chauffeur. Whatever life asks you to be, RBC is a bank for all of you.
Welcome back to You and Your Money. Joining us now is Bishop Hulan Hanna from the Church of God of Prophecy, East Street Tabernacle. And in this segment, we're going to be discussing navigating law enforcement challenges. Bishop Hanna, welcome to the show.
It is my pleasure to be here, Rhea.
As a former Assistant Commissioner of the Police, highlight some successful community policing initiatives led by the law enforcement during your tenure.
One of the things that stand out is that the opportunity to humanize the police force. Many times persons in the community see the Royal Bahamas Police Force as this bureaucracy where you only get to interact with police officers if there's a crisis on your part. What we were intentional in doing is humanizing the force to the extent that people understood that they were dealing with persons who were just like them. So if they had a problem, if they had a challenge, they were able to come and freely speak with their police officer. I served as a commander for Southern Division for 4 years. That is at Market and Kwaku Streets. And it was a pleasure to see persons coming in there almost with a family type aura in the place that we were intentional in cultivating. This has been so beneficial to the force. I encourage members of the community to look at their police officers as a part of a family, and you'll feel less intimidated coming into the atmosphere, the environment where police officers are.
Now, you talked about, the family environment. Let's discuss the importance of the collaboration between the law enforcement and communities in having to prevent and address crime.
Well, it is of paramount importance. You understand that the police by consent. That is, the masses permit you to police them. That said, they have the information. Invariably, when something happens in a community, the first person on the scene is a civilian. If the police does not know how to engage that person, and if that person feels some type of way about the police, you're not going to have that very, very important information. Anyone will tell you that in investigating any criminal matter, being able to get the information as quickly as possible from someone who has the unique knowledge of being present is very, very important. And so you have to understand, and the police must always be cultivating and creating this atmosphere where people want to talk to the police and they see the police as being trustworthy of their information and the confidence that they want to repose in their officers to give them the information in the first instance.
Now, you talked about, persons being able to want to share or have the willingness to share. But what's the role of personal values and ethical considerations in shaping strategies to combat crime?
It cannot be overstated. If you are a person of any moral compass, if you are a person of any decency, you would know that your job is to ensure the well-being of your community and those who reside in your community. And so without you having to be offered an incentive from the police, just that inner character, that inner thing in you should cause you to want to do what is right. If you are a patriotic Bahamian, if you are a person with any godly values, you would want to know that I can sleep at night and my conscience is clear that I have done what I needed to do to ensure that the vulnerable persons, including myself and my family, are safe. And so that should push you, those values, those basic values, should push you to do what is right in terms of communicating with your police department.
Well, definitely we want to encourage persons to speak up and talk about what are the things that's actually happening.
Correct.
Now, of course, we know as we talk about crime, I want us to talk about what kind of economic toll does crime take on businesses, tourism, and even the overall economic stability?
But that's an excellent question there, because when you think about it, then a business, when a person is speaking or an entrepreneur is talking about the outlay of his finances for a fiscal period, they don't want to have to be thinking about building in or designing out crime. When you have to put that as a budget item, you have to put in extra cameras, extra safety measures to keep your clientele and the public safe. It is a cost. And so what we encourage persons to do is to educate yourself that to the extent that you're not only catering to the public, but you're also trying to further your bottom line. And so the essence of it is this. A lot of the monies, capital expenditure that is being used to hire new police officers, to buy new resources, these funds can go to fix roads. They can go to enhance our educational system and all of the wonderful things that governments would project. But because of crime, you have to take a significant percentage of your budget and you have to put it in that direction, in those directions. And so anyone with any sense, common sense, should be supporting your police department, should be supporting any initiative aimed at community wellness, because the cost, the benefit is going to be accrued back to you and to generations that will come.
And you talked about the bottom line and making sure or seeing how some of the resources have to probably be divested into other places. In your opinion, are there long-term consequences on the nation's financial health and the international reputation?
Absolutely, because remember, everything that happens here in the Bahamas, as in the Caribbean and other parts of the world, is being recorded elsewhere. And so when you hear the provisos coming from, say, North America or from other areas that the Bahamas is not necessarily or may not necessarily be the best place people would want to come to because of these things, there is the ripple effect that it would have an economic impact. People must understand the person who sits in the hotel, who is your tourist, who is your guest, who is eating and spending and tipping. If these persons cannot come, then that sector is affected. That person who cannot work in the tourism industry cannot take home the pay to have a standard of living that is commensurate with human decency, and on and on and on. The person who's selling in the dress store, in the grocery store. So you have this impact, and it can affect the country internationally. I want to just appeal to Bahamians generally, if I may take license to do so. That is what, for every action, you've heard the adage, there is a reaction. We need to think about what we're doing. We need to be intentional and preserve this country so that we have the money to make this country into what we would have it to be. Of course, there are other components that make a nation what it ought to be, but primarily within the context of what we're talking about here, we need to make sure that that flow, because we depend on others to come in to give us this quality of life that we are so used to. We have to do it. It makes good sense to keep it foremost in our minds.
Well, Bishop Hanna, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Pleasure was mine.
We have to take another break, but when we get back, we're going to talk about faith-based crime prevention initiatives. This is Union Money. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Amanda Ferguson with 𝗖𝗙𝗥𝗘𝗘 Candle Company. We sell candles, we sell bath bombs, and this is our 10th year in business. We're actually a Sand Dollar newbie. We signed up for Sand Dollar for the Jollification Festival. The experience has been seamless. At first, I mean, new stuff, right? We don't know what to expect. With Sand Dollar, we were very pleased to know that we were offered another way for customers to make payments that were digital. And this here is very important to us because we don't like handling cash, the physical cash anymore. It's safer that way to be able to just have that on a digital platform. At the end of the day, I have my totals, I know what I've made, I don't have to count the cash, I don't have to worry about the security of walking to my car with cash on me. I can tell you that, I won't go back to the old way for sure. I'd much rather the transactions being on my phone. It's simple, it's instantaneous, and my customers have actually really loved it too.
Join us for the Bahamas Business Outlook Conference, Thursday, January 25th, 8:45 a.m. at the Bahamar Convention Center. We're bringing the business community together under the theme, Future Bahamas, branding the national identity and planning for success. The day includes a business expo, lunch, an art tour, keynote address by Prime Minister Davis, exciting panels, and so much more. Begin your year on a high note. Get your tickets today at tclevents.com.
Welcome back to You and Your Money. The President of the Christian Council, Bishop Delton Fernander, is here with us today. Bishop Fernander, welcome to the show.
It's my privilege to be here. I'm glad to be on set with you.
In the previous segments with Assistant Commissioner of Police, Dr. Chaswell Hanna, and Bishop Hanna from the Church of God of Prophecy, East Street, we spoke about tackling contemporary crime challenges and navigating law enforcement challenges. In this segment, I want us to talk about faith-based crime prevention initiatives. Now, from the Christian Council's perspective, what kind of initiatives and programs are being led by faith communities to prevent crime and support individuals at risk?
At present, faith-based initiatives are spanning out in every sector, every part of the programming with the police, with different sectors of community. We realize we're one of the pillars of society. And so when you think about Teen Challenge, it's a faith-based initiative. When you think about urban, there's a spiritual component to urban from the day we started urban. Okay. The church was involved. In fact, the setters used to be the churches. Okay. And so we have grown. We've had trips to Atlanta to look at how those programs have worked under Dr. Patterson, who was president of the Christian Council. We sat with the mayor. He showed us how The programs were able to turn around urban communities that were challenged with crime and violence and gang activity. We think we have the tools and the training to work together. We realize that this cannot happen unless we have a hand-in-glove method. Each sector of our society must do its part. We specialize in the spiritual aspect of it. We've run the programs at the prison. Most people forget you're coming out, your parole, every aspect of your release, you're coming into society, church is involved.
Now, what's the impact of spiritual guidance and community involvement in addressing the root causes of criminal behavior?
When you think about the root cause of criminal behavior, you have two different models. The gang activity sometimes is involved between drugs, money, guns, violence, controlling of territory, that kind of atmosphere. Some of the activity of crime is based on hopelessness, based on lack of finances, based on the inability to supply for your family. When the church is involved in the community and do what the Bible is calling for us to do, we provide that level of hope. We are out in the community giving out groceries, being that extra layer of social services. I often say that people can forget that there are feeding breakfast programs that happen in every church. There are dinner and lunch programs that are happening at Bishop Henschel's outreach, that the church provides that buffer, that layer to kind of challenge people to think twice before you go to a life of crime, before you engage. And now more than ever, we engage with Mother Pratt when I pastored in Blue Hill in an after-school program. Hundreds of young people, I should say the Governor General, we engaged in the program with an after-school program when I was at St. John's, and the straw market burned down. The state asked us to open up our facilities. We engaged in after school. So many things happen without the press knowing, without society at large knowing, but we realize our role, we realize the importance of changing lives one person at a time. And when we begin to do that, this changed the whole fabric of communities.
Well, definitely want to applaud you. Take this moment to applaud you for the continual work that's being done in the community at large from a religious organization perspective. Now, how successful have the partnerships been between the religious organizations and the law enforcement aided in crime prevention?
I think they've been very successful. That's why they continue today. Most of the programs have changed with governments, and as governments come and governments change, the dynamics of the programs, the leaders of the programs, the whole team of the programs change, but the church remains the same. We're the ones in the community, we're the trusted voices, we're the people that have to lead the new leaders into the community, have to introduce them to the people. And so it is the consistent arm, not only of Christ, but a consistent arm of the church, being that thing, that organization, that ecclesia, called the people that are in the community, from the community, and stay around the community, even when governments and personnel change.
How have these collaborations contributed to rehabilitation efforts and the reintegration of former offenders into society?
Well, like I said, we are involved with the parole board, we're involved with every aspect of the prayer. I laugh because if you see the list that comes out every new government to these boards, it's bishop this, it's reverend that, it's missionary this, because we're good at it. When I say we're good at it, not only do we go into the prison and share the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'll give you an example from the church I pastor. Our men's group went in every time they were scheduled to share the message. Those that accepted Jesus Christ, they were invited to come to the church. We didn't have to broadcast that they were ex-offenders. And then at some points, they were even hired. We bought lawnmowers, we bought equipment, we gave them a stipend, to open up car washes. These are things we don't need to talk about. These are things we do. And those people who are transitioned back into society, sometimes it works. Sometimes they go right back to a life of crime. But it is the effort that we try that makes a difference, because if we can save one life, if we could stop one person from going back to a life of crime, then we reduce the amount of recidivism going back to the prisons.
Well, Bishop Fernander, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you. It's been my privilege.
Crime affects us all, and it is within our collective power to foster safer communities, forge partnerships, and address the root causes of criminal behavior. Together, we can build a future where resilience of our communities prevails over the challenges that we face. Thank you for joining us on this journey towards a safer and more harmonious Bahamas. Until next time, let us all continue to not only raise awareness, but inspire action. If you want to know more about how you can be my next guest on this show, you can send me an email to ria@riacristina.com with the subject line, Next Guest. That's it for today's show. Don't forget to follow You and Your Money on Facebook and tune in next week for a brand new episode. I'm Ria Cristina. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.